imagine him coming out of a meeting like that, saying, "This lady just called me a white supremacist."
Yeah, correct. That's a good answer.
By the way, just so you know, based on a couple of positions that you have, you technically are one.
Yeah.
If you were to be labeled by, I'm pretty sure if this lady, if Kristen
like,
Mink
"He's a white
watches you,
supremacist."
have some of the positions that you have, you'll be a white supremacist.
That makes
Just so
sense.
I was telling you about the city council member, Kristen Mink, who made a statement and about Muslim children speaking out a school's board and comparing them or making the equivalency of then behaving and saying things as a white supremacist. Will absolutely say it is so out of line, and I'm extremely happy that it's actually the Democrats who have gone above and beyond to open the doors for the Muslim community, because they wanted to even the balance and punish the right-wing Christians, right? And by opening the door to this Muslim community, that little did they know, they actually are more fundamental when it comes to their positions than any Christianity at this point has adopted. We already came out of our dark ages. Islam hasn't. And they are not going to play around with certain things.
Crazy perspective, yeah.
There are certain things they're not going to play around. So be careful what you wish for, because it might just come through. So this is an interesting moment. I am dying to see how it's going to develop, because the difference between Christianity and Islam is Christian, based on Christ himself, saying, how many times you have to put 70 times 7. If you get hit, and what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to put that's not how Muslim operates, because that's not how Islam is actually built, right? And a lot of people have switched from one religion to the other just because they say this religion is at least willing to fight, and a fight will be coming your way very soon. I cannot wait to see it. Second, out of that comment being so out of line, if you're a white person who by accident decided, just out of the chits and giggles, you know what I mean, just to see what the hell we got going on, looking the way we're looking, and you are actually watching what we are saying right now, the fact that you're not organizing, finding a way to communicate better, and to say that racism is racism no matter which way, for somebody to actually have the audacity to say that no white woman should be holding any position of any significant control management, or because they are in a way they're going to continue to introduce that systematic racism to say that, and then nobody grab a, not make something that's going to look too drastic.
A baseball bat.
And say, what the hell is wrong with you, lady? Yeah. And I just take that at face value, then there really is something wrong with us. I think that the country really at this point has gotten to a point where everybody's going to need some level of psychological assistance. What's your take on that, guys?
I got mixed feelings with the whole situation. So number one, I feel like we got to pick and choose whether we want to be inclusive or exclusive, because no matter what, it's going to be pros and cons to both. But it's going to be very difficult to say, I want everybody to be a part of this thing that we have going on with the country as far as making decisions, but then I don't want this group. It's going to be hard to do that, because no matter what, you're going to run into a wall at some point where if you want us to be a diversified and inclusive and all that, then you cannot be surprised that not everybody's going to have the same views.
Psychologically speaking, they say that whatever you try to suppress comes back with a vengeance.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And so, in addition to that, what triggered this is this whole situation about some of the books that are trying to force children to read. Some of what triggered that was just again. Is parents absolutely concerned, and then children actually were invited to raise their concerns and complain about it. And this lady immediately, without hesitation, said, "Oh, I know you're Muslim, but you're acting as a white in the same side. As a matter of fact, you are on the same side as a white supremacist.
I get it, but here's my thoughts. Is somebody allowed to be a white supremacist? Is somebody
Nobody
allowed
should
to
be allowed to. No.
You say no?
No,
I
no.
think that's going too far to say that somebody can't decide that they want to do something.
I think, but listen, we need to establish the difference between somebody who loves his country to a point, but that appears to be a little extreme. Somebody that loves their heritage to the point they are extremely proud and they're willing to display that. But if you're talking about a white supremacist that is going to go set up a cross on fire somewhere somehow and is going to try to kill somebody based on race, there's absolutely not, because that's a mental disorder. And so that, to me, now, are those people out there? And your question was, are they allowed to exist? Of course they are allowed to exist. What they're not allowed to do is to come sit policy where they are saying, because you are not as white as me, you shouldn't be part of, or because you're not as white as me, then I'm going to discriminate against you. Like, I want to establish a difference between you are entitled to exist and you're entitled to be, but you cannot distance into a right of conducting and interacting with other people, especially when you want to force them to be treated below humane levels. You know what I mean? Like,
Gotcha.
and human dignity is
So,
potentially being compromised.
I
So
think-
for me, that's a little bit, that's the difference. You know what I mean? Like, if somebody's going to come in and, hey, listen, from now on the policy is you sit in the back of the bus again. That what the hell are you talking about? Like,
Correct.
let me grab a baseball bat at that point.
We're going back.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is this.
Like 100.
I get it, but what I'm saying is this: people like that exist today.
Correct.
Still,
Yeah, but
they're
that's-
not gonna go away. And then
Yeah.
I think that I think for us to think that that's not the case, like right now, she's like, oh, this person shouldn't be in this position.
So-
that would be crazy to think that there's no president ever that's been racist,
So-
or that there's no person in power right now that doesn't have that same view. It sounds ridiculous. Right now, people have views. Now, I know that if I'm gonna run for a certain position, I'm not gonna tell everybody what my thoughts are if I know it sounds crazy to the average person.
Yeah, but if I'm saying something to you in terms of what my position is, and you don't like my position, right? And your way of shutting me down is to tell me that I'm a white supremacist. Then you are no better than the so-called group of white supremacists, because you are also creating the same condition of discrimination and oppression just because you don't agree with my position. And you're 100% right. I don't even have to agree with those people being out there or their behavior or something like that. But I know, like you're saying, I know that they're there. I know that there's people that are definitely racist. I know that I'm not pretending that those people are not there. They will hate you, you know, based on the color of your skin, based on your sexual orientation, I know that those people are out there. What I'm saying is, if you don't agree with my position, and you're gonna immediately go that route, because there's a difference between a guy that looks this light skinned saying certain things in a way that can be very easy to say, is this guy white? This guy white? I'm sure that my accent is gonna make them feel a little better. But you're talking about children. Talking about Muslim children. And if you're gonna look at children after they raise their concern, they voice their concern, and your conclusion is to call them names, right? Then there's something wrong with that individual. Though.
No, I agree.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
agree. All I'm saying is, to me, it's even the wrong argument. I think that even if those kids were white supremacists, they deserve to have a voice as well. You cannot take away a person's voice because they
freedom
have
of speech.
different views than you do. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that they are white supremacists or, trying to, that's not my point. But I'm saying the fact that it's even brought up is a bigger issue, because now you're telling me anybody who thinks different from how you think, you're now allowed to put a label on them that can shut them down. People should not be allowed to be shut down because anybody can be classified as a.
We gotta declassify them.
Imagine Alexis Linsky. Imagine Alexis.
You are.
No. Imagine him coming out of a meeting like that, saying, "This lady just called me a white supremacist."
Yeah, correct. That's a good answer.
By the way, just so you know, based on a couple of positions that you have, you technically are one.
Yeah.
If you were to be labeled by, I'm pretty sure if this lady, if Kristen
like,
Mink
"He's a white
watches you,
supremacist."
have some of the positions that you have, you'll be a white supremacist.
That makes
just so
sense.
you know.
That makes sense.
Here's the way that I'm processing this, and you know, it's number one, it's sad. What you're saying is 100% thing, right? It's sad that the fact that this lady is like labeling children.
It's sad that she's a city council member. That's sad.
That's number
that's
one.
alarming.
No, number two, here's the thing, because I'm like, city council, do we vote for them? We don't. City councils get put in place by the current mayor. Who the hell put that mayor in place? Is the citizens. The citizens are getting exactly so. Like, when you're thinking about that, is what is the mindset in Maryland city, right? That elected this dude or girl, that put this girl into place. And so that has to happen. And I feel for the children that are growing up in this time period. Like, everything that is being thrown at them is just incredible. The attack on values and principles are just at the next level. And the fact that you are in a position where you freaking labeling a kid something, that becomes their affirmation when they're still just learning how to, like, live, you know. They're gonna go through their teenage years, to their growing pains. I don't know how old this kid is. And it doesn't matter. It's just, Jesus. Like, how do you speak to a kid like that? It's just, for me, is alarming. And the fact that this lady is there, I don't know.
I cannot wait for the Muslim community to actually get a hold of that.
That's really scary. I don't know.
No. I'm really looking forward to it, because, again, it was Democrats who decided to say, you know what, here's what we're going to do to Christians. We're just going to bring a bunch of Muslims in here. Guys, 30 years from now, don't be surprised if the whole country is already Islamic, right? So congratulations, everybody. And by the way, for a lot of people would be extremely happy about the whole process. But they're not going to play around with something like this. Yeah. They're not going to accept it. They're not going to take it lightly. They're actually going to take action. I promise you that if history is telling you anything about the behavior when it comes to issues like this of the Muslim community, is that they are not going to allow a politician to get to the point of not only putting that kind of material in front of the children, but to actually call them out and call them those names, especially names like that.
That's an
That's not an okay thing to do. But anyway, this is one of those things that we'll see how it develops. A couple of quick things to cover, guys. Chinese citizens are suing the state of Florida right now over buying property, the property ban that was instituted by Ron Desantis. The only thing that I can tell you from this whole situation is that there are federal laws, federal guidelines that are very clear when it comes to the acquisition of property, things that will be considered illegal to do. And when it comes to especially the Civil Rights Act 1963, I believe is, or 1968, that makes it illegal to discriminate based on race or ethnicity when it comes to the acquisition of a property. And is protected by federal law. So I don't know how the state is going to be able to overcome that.
Foreign nationals. It's not necessarily from a certain ethnicity. It's like just foreign nationals.
But again, so are you not allowing everybody? Meaning
that's what
if I'm from Mexico and I want to buy a little townhouse somewhere around here, am I not allowed also to buy property? Because if we say foreign national, it sounds like foreign national Chinese. Foreign Right? That's a little different, you know.
He's one of these white supremacists, right? That's the problem. But yes, but no.
By the way, I'm not defending DeSantis. I don't agree with what he's doing here. I think, he's navigating a gray area. Here's the problem, though. He's trying to solve a problem that should have been solved at a federal level, and he's trying to fix it on a local level.
But that's my point. My
This
point
guy's good.
is funny. It's funny you say that because my point is, in many ways, he's giving you a preview
Yes.
of what will
Yes.
happen if he becomes a
It was the whole
president to
thing.
be able to say, because at that point, at that level, you can, from a national security perspective, you can say, this country, the same way that you will set up a travel ban
Yeah.
or something like that, you
Yeah.
can absolutely do that, right?
I like
At
I like DeSantis.
I like where this guy's going.
you know, so at a local
By the way,
level,
my
right, at
understanding
state
of foreign
level.
national is if you live here, you're like, and you have certain paperwork.
If you have no papers, is that what you're saying? That makes
If
you a
you
foreign
have
national? No.
papers.
Foreign national
If
is
you
somebody who's outside of the country.
Exactly.
You know, not
So-
just the fact that somebody's in here has no papers. That just makes it illegal.
What if you're here on
That's
like
what
a-
I mean. So
what if you're
foreign
here as,
national
like, a
is if you
student?
live outside.
Yeah.
What if you're here like as a student? Like you're not supposed to be here for longer than a certain. Can I buy property knowing that I have to leave?
Listen, there's a million loopholes. Can I
Yeah.
buy property through somebody else? Can I buy property?
True,
The
true,
question
true.
is, what is going to be the impact to the housing market? So,
Yeah.
for example, closing agents, title companies, attorneys, is going to be an additional requirement for them to disclose, right? Lorena is buying a property. Lorena, are you really going to be the person who's going to occupy this property? Are you really?
Make
Is it
them
gonna,
pay
for how long? Who are you going to sell it to? I don't know if there's going
Yeah,
to be.
that's gonna be
So
weird.
so this is going to be messy. I don't think that the state of Florida is going to be able to keep the ban for too long. I think that is going to be dismantled because again, these things are protected by federal law. You know what I mean? So who knows? Couple of final things, guys. Unless you want,
No,
a
go
couple
for
of final things. GM is investing a lot of money. The new wave of cars that are rolling out, anything from the gas cars to new EVs, new battery cars, they put in a lot of money, $500 million in one plant, $1 billion in Michigan. They are really investing a lot of money out there. Another thing that they're doing secretly, quietly, they made a deal with Elon Musk to start using every single one of the supercharging stations
Funny.
that Tesla already had managed to put all throughout the country. When they were coming out, and I remember seeing the Tesla charging stations, and hardly any, you still new areas, right, where you still don't see a lot of, and then they were filling up, the charging station. For all intended purposes, I own a Tesla, so my charging station went from, at any time I wanted to go to, I better have some battery because I'm going to be waiting online
Yeah, yeah.
to charge up.
Oh, I
Or
understand.
now I got to drive to go charge somebody else because it's growing.
Yeah.
But this guy, Elon Musk, managed to put a charging network or a network of charging stations throughout the whole country. And that's one of the most clever things that he actually. I'm saying, who cares about the profit of the car
Yeah.
when he's gonna make all the money on
Yeah,
the charging?
stations.
I mean, that we were talking about this
Yeah.
from the early years of the whole process. But how long has GM been in business?
114 years.
114 years, is that right?
It's a long time.
How long Tesla has been?
19 years.
19 years, right?
It's not even legal to
It-
drink.
isn't that amazing?
We have more episodes.
Isn't that amazing? Why is that guy like that? That guy should be protected by like the whole
By the way-
army.
Yeah.
Like that guy should have Secret Service traveling with him.
That's funny.
I don't
Right?
know. Secret Service is government connected.
How is
Yeah.
this
Right.
guy
Probably kill him.
not protected? You know
That's
the reason why, the only reason why I'm highlighting this, and I'm highlighting the fact that it's being treated as a secret, is the simple fact that when it came to the EV, electrical innovation, the White House invited companies that were at the front of the leading companies when it came to the revolution and the evolution.
And then Musk out.
And Elon Musk was not invited to the White House. And here's the one who's actually providing access to the network that he developed
Yeah.
in 19 years ahead of companies that had been around for
Yeah.
over 100 years.
You know what's so funny about this? I seen this documentary. Check it out. It's called "Who Killed the Electric Car," right? And essentially, who killed the electric car? It was GM. It was GM because the electric car was supposed to come out 30 years before Tesla, but they did everything within their power to make sure that it never came out. So it's going to be very interesting.
That's funny.
When the death of
That's too funny.
GM comes from,
By the way,
an electric vehicle company. So I'm not mad. At
shout
what's
out
going on
to
with
the
Tesla.
biz doc. Tom Ellsworth was the first place where I ever heard one of his case studies way back in the day, where he was with the kabam and the boom. He was saying that love you, Tom.
Yeah.
He was saying that Tesla was positioning themselves to become like the largest distribution of these charging
And I think that
stations.
I think he actually foretold
makes
this
total
moment. I
sense.
think
Yeah,
he actually
100% he
said,
said that.
I can see other companies going to.
Watch the biz doc.
1,000%, 1,000%.
Yeah.
So, I like it
I think is ironic.
Yeah.
I think is also a reflection of the beauty of capitalism,
True.
free
True,
market,
true.
innovation, and that we still lucky enough to get some people. So thank God Elon decided to. You know what? I think I'm going to learn how to speak English, opposed to saying I think I'm going to learn how to speak Mandarin. You know what I mean?
Yo, yeah. It would suck to have that guy on the other
That
side.
would have been painful because I promise you, there's a couple of people from the Chinese, political structure saying, "Why we don't have a guy like that?" We needed somebody.
It's coming soon. They're
But
working
yeah,
on it.
1,000%. They're working on
I
that.
don't know. Their population thing is not. It's backfiring on.
My final question here today, guys, is how is your guy Vivek doing? How is he? You still like him?
I like him a
I
lot.
that. Look
I
how
like him.
giggly you get.
Yeah, I really. That guy
Yeah,
sells me the
that's it.
dream. I'm a very
That's it.
logical person. Every argument, you're absolutely right though.
Fair.
Every argument he does is very logical.
Yeah.
It makes total sense. He
It
needs a
doesn't-
bigger mic.
It doesn't
He
sell
needs-
concert tickets.
And you love that. Yeah.
He
It's
needs
not-
a bigger
it's not-
mic and more people. God, Vivek, you gotta learn how to talk to the regular people, because housekeeping Lorena would have never been able to connect with you.
1,000%.
But I love you, just so you know.
1,000%.
It's,
What I'm thinking
go
about
watch him. Go watch him.
I
guys,
like.
swear.
I have no issues with him. I like him.
chances
Yeah.
growing. You see anything happening there that can potentially be?
I mean, everything that I see from him is positive. I like it, but I don't know if he's moving fast enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
to make a big impact for what's going to happen in the next couple of months. I don't think so.
Only get to be an outsider once.
I want to share something with you, which was actually called.
I might get
it
to
was
it before
actually.
you.
You probably will.
With his truth,
Yes.
you shared it.
Right. I
Yeah.
did share that. Right.
Yeah.
So this is something that he decided to put out
Here.
there, calling the.
Oh, you got it?
Yeah. He called them truths, right? And so he said, number one, and I want to share this with you because a lot of people are trying to understand what is the position. This is a guy that maybe right now a little too young, maybe he doesn't come across as having the experience. Maybe he needs a little more empathy. Maybe he needs a little more sympathy. Maybe he needs a little more communication training when it comes to relating to other people. But this is a guy whose mind is brilliant. And being that young, to be able to have done the things that he has accomplished in terms of
Respect.
being a writer, business, I mean, a billionaire. You're talking about a guy who running for president of the country, and with such a clarity about the things that he would like to do. It's just extremely amazing. We wish him well, you know what I mean, and hopefully
Listen
somewhere,
to these guys.
and then somewhere in the near future, you know what I mean, you can potentially, would be an amazing thing to have a guy like this as president. So number one, God is real. I love the fact that he doesn't say which God. He just said God is real, however you conceive him to be, I guess, right? Number two, there are two genders. Number three, human flourishing requires fossil fuels, right? Number four, reverse racism is racism. Number five, an open border is no border. Number six, parents determine the education of their children. Number seven, the nuclear family is the greatest form of governance known to mankind. Number eight, capitalism lifts people up from poverty. Number nine, there are three branches of the U.S. government, not four. Number 10, the U.S. Constitution is the strongest guarantor of freedom in history. And I truly believe that. I say there's one thing that keeps. So, but unfortunately, I agree with you. He's not selling the tickets.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? He's not selling the dream. More things like this should be part of his conversation, opposed to just going so factual about the numbers and rule of law and certain things that he's 100% correct about. Remember what I said to you? He's got that Ben Shapiro effect, right? As he's painfully right about things that are extremely wrong, but he's got to find a way. He's got to find a way to connect with people, because you know who's selling tickets? Can I tell you who's selling tickets? Messi is coming to Miami. Messi's coming to Miami. You know how much a ticket to go into that stadium, the stadium, used to cost? $29. You know what is the projected cost of that same ticket now that Messi's coming? $447.
That makes sense.
That guy knows how to sell tickets.
That's
So
good.
maybe Vivek needs to go
Yeah.
have a good conversation
hang
with
out
Messi.
with-
By the way,
Absolutely.
how excited, man,
Dodo?
that
Yeah, that's
this
exciting.
guy's coming here down in
Definitely some
Miami,
Messi.
going to go see a couple of games. But he knows how to sell tickets. You need
Yes.
to
Yes.
send a little message to your boy.
Go
Send
ahead
a
with
message
Messi.
to your boy saying, let's sell some tickets.
Here's the one thing I love about this guy is the fact that he will stand and he will get in front of anybody
Sure.
and debate them and not get emotional about the process. Be very factual
Yeah.
in his arguments. So
Yeah.
I respect that about a guy. That
He can
he's
take
like-
it, though.
He will bring on
He-
the fight.
Yeah, no,
He'll acknowledge
he-
and he'll be like, but
he-
here's my. And he's very clear about his position. So I have a lot of respect for that guy.
He can definitely take it, and I do get a little concerned sometimes how easily some people will, you know how some people will naturally impose certain level of respect from other people, like, you know, they walk through the door, immediately everybody will treat them a little different, right? My fear with him is that it appears that he doesn't come across as that guy. Like, I've seen a few interviews where some people just went after him
bully
in a
him,
way that,
Yeah, yeah.
in a way that
Well-
I'm like, you wouldn't said that. You will definitely ask the question you asking, but you wouldn't ask it that way. You know what I mean?
No,
and
they wanna bully the
that
guy.
I'm a, yeah.
He's
yeah.
37 years old compared
Yeah,
to
yeah.
every single politician in the
Yeah, but
that
that's
is out
all.
there.
That
is,
all of that have to be part of his training.
Well, 100%,
all of
yeah.
that has to be part of his training, and the fact that nobody is around
I
him
wonder
having
who's
a
in his
conversation.
corner.
Yeah, it's funny. I'll send him a message to see if we can have a little conversation on your behalf. All right.
Thank
So
you.
yeah,
Yes.
it's just
Yeah, to me, I think he's one of those people who could be like one of the perfect types of presidents, but less likely to make it
to ever get elected. Is
Yeah,
what you're saying,
correct.
right?
Correct. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
but he maybe he needs to pivot. Maybe he'll be better off not as a president, but being as a part of that. You know, the circle that the president has in his corner.
Hillary
you know.
Clinton would have better chances. Is what you're saying.
Yeah.
But you know, it's funny that you say that. I want
You
to
know.
say that so we can actually just wrap this up a little
Mm-hmm.
bit. But it's funny that you say that because I was really thinking about that. I was really saying, here's another guy. I mean, Donald Trump was Donald Trump, right?
Mm-hmm.
He already had national presence. You know, for years you can
He'd
go
been selling
back to
tickets for
yeah.
decades.
He's been selling
Yes,
tickets. That's a
100%.
guy that knows how to sell tickets.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
100%, yep.
And has been putting it out there. Yes, I know I wouldn't do it because I know. Yeah, maybe one day. Who knows? You know what I mean? Hopefully the right. I mean, he was selling. This guy should be a president one day for years,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Even when at some point people started saying maybe it's not a good idea anymore, but he was still selling that. In his case, though, even though he's got that many books out there, even though he's got a phenomenal business, you know what I mean? It's not the same as having hotels and real estate that has your name all over the place, or casinos, or
Yeah.
all of
Yeah.
these many ventures. You know, you don't have a show called The Apprentice that
Correct.
gave you that. For him, I was saying to myself, literally, maybe it would be a good idea for him to go through the route of doing something politically that will just give him more exposure, you know what I mean? And the ability to mature a little more, not just as an individual, but actually mature in front of the eyes of people, you know what I mean? Where
Right.
people would be like, okay, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, you-
I know him a little better, I
get
see
used
that.
to the guy.
Correct,
Mhm.
correct. You know what I mean?
Makes
So,
sense.
you know, hopefully, but anyway, guys,
Yeah.
any final takes on where we are here? So this
So it's been, we went a little out of places, but at the end of the day, what I think is most important for everybody is this. I think we can't give up our position as far as what we can do for ourselves and our family. Because yes, we're talking a lot about what's going to happen with Trump. Is he going to go to jail? Is he not? Should Vivek, somebody like him, become a president? I think all of this conversation, a lot of the times, it takes away the responsibility for each individual. As far as what power they have in their house, in their community. And I think we just got to be very cognizant about the fact that regardless of what happens, I don't care who makes it to president, you still got bills to pay. You get what I'm saying? You still going to have something that you're going to have to do with your house. I don't care what rules they make, you should be taking control of your kids and what your kids are learning. I'm not going to allow it. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. You get what I'm saying? So I think more than anything, the biggest thing that I want to leave with is that we have power, and we got to make sure we exercise our power to make a difference, not only in our household, but in our communities as well. So that's my biggest thing.
For me, there's two camps watching this, and if you got to this, salute, right? If you got to this level, there's a couple of things that are in my mind. The first one is if you completely agree with us, and you think the conversation is valuable, and you understand, from the different, what you opened with, which is so important, which is the different perspectives that we bring to the table, or the unique perspectives, is keep the conversation going. At the end of the day, you got to do your part. Correct. Yes, go make the money. We'll always talk about that. I'm pro capitalism. I'm pro you being independent. But you got to do your part. You got to go vote. You gotta talk about it. This BS that you shouldn't be talking about politics is in religion is not good. Just because it doesn't create that. If it were not because I was in an environment that we were talking about, I would still be a brainwashed person that thinks that the world is out to get me, and I would have been a victim, and I would have never been able to be in the position that I'm at, where I run a business, I run it with my wife, we're successful, and the future, it looks so freaking bright. But it's because I was part of an environment where there was a lot of discussions, because you asked a lot of questions that were super uncomfortable, that I was willing to say, how do I go from where I'm right to how do I know that I'm right? How do I go from knowing that I'm right to how do I know that I'm right? So keep asking the questions, keep the conversation going. If you're here and you completely disagree with us and you're just waiting to bash us already, put something on the comment. But on the other side, I challenge you to think a little bit different. I challenge you to look and say, how do I know that I'm right? And write it down. And let us know what you think. More important than anything else, just be very clear about what your values and principles are. What are some of the things that you want to stand up for, and just don't buckle, don't deviate from whatever your values and principles are. So that's it. I'll pass it.
Yeah, I mean, for me, listen, for me, the one thing that I will ask everybody to do right now is just to really make an assessment about the level of division that the country is going through. And for everybody to be reminded of the fact that we are being put in a position where we are being divided intentionally. And you need to start asking yourself first the question of why do they want to divide us? And that will actually help you understand the who is trying to divide us, right? So what is the ultimate game plan? What are they trying to accomplish? And then it's going to become a lot easier to say, oh, I thought it was those guys, but in reality, it's this guys, right?
Yep.
And so I'm hoping, because for all of us, not wanting to impose ideology, not trying to impose, but for every single one of us that is thinking more along the lines of some conservative lines, but more than anything else, based on the benefits of capitalism that we stand by, and we believe that is what makes this country very unique and very special. And I agree with Vivek Ramaswamy that it is our Constitution. It's our Constitution that is an incredible, unique document that can truly be elevated to maybe books that are treated, or documents that are treated as documents that have been blessed or touched by God, or the Spirit of God. I think that makes our nation so extremely special. But look into it a little more, you know what I mean? And if there's anything here that makes any sense in terms of conversation and how we processing issues, again, subscribe, pass the video around and see if anybody has any feedback to give us.
Yep.
And obviously, more than anything else, comment. Let us know. Listen, I agree, I don't agree. We have a lot of people. We thank you for the people that are absolutely commenting on Instagram, and But right here, we would like to see in this channel some additional feedback from people. Again, whether you agree or disagree with some of the things that we're saying, we are very respectful about your position. You have the right to have it. That's the beauty of our country. But we're going to continue to advance what we believe is the many blessings that this country have to offer every single one of us. So with that being said, thank you for spending some time with us today. Appreciate you.
Tuesday.
See you.
Right.